A Tiger in the Zoo. It is the poem written by Leslie Norris. It is for class 10 CBSE English. So now I will tell you something about the poet who wrote this very poem, just defining the difference between the tiger that live in the zoo in a very secluded state of life, as well as the tiger that live in the companionship and the jungle, who are quite free to roam and hunt. So here you will try to understand the poet's point of view as it is thought by the tiger when it is encased in the zoo. Here you can see the different posters of the poet Leslie Norris, who wrote this complete poem in a vivid manner that describes about the life of the tiger that is spent in both the places, whether it is the zoo or the jungle. So here you must know all about this very man. George Leslie Norris was born on 21 May 1921 in Marthyr Tydfil, South Wales. He grew up in Wales during the Great Depression that occurred in 1930. He enjoyed reading books and playing sports as a kid. He attended Georgetown Primary School from 1926 to 31. Professions is a writer and poet. He is what? The man from Wales. First of all, you must know the summary of the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. The poem begins with a description of a tiger that is very beautiful and is walking in his little cage. He has beautiful stripes on his skin and has velvet-like soft paws. But the tiger is not happy and is quite angry about being confined in the cage. The poet says that if the tiger was not confined to the zoo cage, he would have been hiding himself behind the long grass near some water body in order to catch its prey. That is the plumpy deer. Also, he would have terrorized the residents of the villages around the forest area, but the reality is totally opposite to this. He was confined in a cage which was made up of a strong building material, and he was helpless there. He could not show his power to the visitors, therefore never tried to terrorize them. The tiger is described as being powerless and agonized by the poet Leslie Norris. He says that during night also he is alone and hearing the voice of the patrolling vehicles of police and looking at the stars. The cage life has totally changed the tiger's personality. The poet is trying to say that the animal, which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom and ferocity, is confined and sad due to the human beings. It is the act of human beings who want to derive pleasure by looking at him in the zoo cage. What a depravity of the tiger is, and how merciless the man is who is trying to give him some biscuits and the flesh thrown to him while he is in a mood to hunt his food for himself by himself. So here it is his inability. But now I will tell you something more about the poetic devices as well as the anecdotes, and that you will try to know about it. Here you will know about the poem A Tiger and the Jew. He talks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his keys on pads of velvet white. In his quiet race, here what are the annotation that you can understand? Here it is referred to tiger. Walks in quiet race, unexpressed anger. In the few steps a small case is there in which he cannot walk. It is the keys of Jew. He has vivid stripes, bright and attractive lines on his body. So here he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass. Here, what is the annotation here? He is again refers to tiger. Lurks means waits, where in shadow, shade of the tree, and slides, walks secretly in the long grasses of the jungle. Near the water hole, where the plump deer pass, near the water hole, this refers to pond, lake or river, where he searches, the tiger searches the fat deer, means plump deer. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Here, what are the annotations that you must know? He here snarls, roars, and walks around the houses, the village houses, at the jungle's edge. At the end of the jungle, these tigers roar. He shows his white fangs, sharp teeth, pointed teeth, and claws to terrorize. He wants to scare villagers who are living in the village. But he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Here, the poet has described about the tiger, so you must know he refers to the closed tiger in the concrete cell, that is the cage made of stone. He can show his strength here. So he walks in the limited space of the cage. He ignores the visitors, those human beings who come to visit him. He does not like to see him. He avoids to see them. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Here, the tiger listens the last voice, the people going back to their houses at night. He also listens the sound of patrolling cars, the cars of police. By his brilliant eyes, hopeful eyes for freedom, he looks at the brilliant stars, the stars that just shine in the sky, and he is very hopeful that in future he will get freedom. Firstly, I told you all about the word meanings, and now I will read and tell you the explanations as well as the poetic devices. He talks in his vivid stripes. The few steps of his case on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rays. Here he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet race. The tiger has bright and brilliant color that is just made to attract the attention of the people, and he moves in the cage up and down, and his stripes on his body are of a strong bright color. The stripes on his body are of a strong bright color. The tiger moves quietly on his velvety pads. He is full of rage, anger, but is not able to express it, as it is his inability to express it. He cannot come out of it. He finds himself quite helpless there. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. Here I have tried to make you understand that how it is just walking in the shade so silently and secretly, as well as it is just in quest of its hunt, and so it is wandering from one place to another so that it could just come near the water hole in search of the plump deer which can be hunted to satisfy his hunger. Looking at the imprisoned tiger, the poet is filled with pity. He says that the poor tiger should have been in his natural habitat. Then at this point of the night he would have been lying in the shadows of trees and sliding quietly through the long grass. There near the water hole he would be waiting for some fat deer to pass that way. Thus he would be lying there in expectation of a heavy feast. He would be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claw, terrorizing the village. Here the tiger is just in a very angry mood. He is just trying to terrify the villagers who live on the outskirts of the jungle, or you can say that it lives near the bank of the jungle. So here at the jungle says, bearing his white fangs, it just shows its sharp pointed teeth, his claw terrorizing the village, and the claws that are seen so in angry mood, that is so ferocious and wild in nature that looking at it anyone can feel terrified. Imagines what the tiger would be doing in case he failed to find any prey in his natural habitat. He says that the tiger would be growling at the edge of the jungle near some village. He would be showing his white fangs and claws while moving here and there. He would thus become a cause of terror for villagers. The poet here gives a hint that if we destroy the natural habitat of tigers, they will be forced to turn to our towns and villages to find their food. But he is locked in a concrete cell. He is trained behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Here he likes to do something. That is what he is locked in a concrete cell. That is very strong. His strength is limited behind bars, and he is just measuring the length of his cage, and whoever comes to see him, he does not want to see because he does not feel it good. He finds that he is at the mercy of the people who come and they throw him some kind of food that he ignores. as he is already capable of just finding his hunt for himself. Here you can see that he is locked in a concrete cell. Here it is like that. He is trapped behind bars. He is limited, stalking the length of his cage. That is also seen here, and he is unable. He ignores the visitors who come to see him. The poet sees the tiger locked in a concrete cell in the zoo. In spite of all his strength, he now lies imprisoned behind the bars. Very slowly and silently, he moves up and down along the length of the cage. He takes to no note of the visitor who come to the zoo to have a look at him. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Here you can understand that the poet is describing that the tiger is in the zoo and how much incapable he finds himself. That is being described, that he is so hopeful that even the police cars who come to just investigate whether the tigers are not anywhere or the wild animals cannot move here and there. So here he is quite hopeful, the tiger is quite hopeful that he will once be able to go to the jungle where his natural habitat is, and he will just look at those brilliant stars, and he will enjoy the pleasures of the nature that he had once enjoyed in the jungle. The tiger knows no rest during the day because of the visitors. Even at night, in immense disturbed due to the noise of the patrolling cars, he keeps staring at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes. Perhaps he is asking heaven why he has been imprisoned there so that he can be removed, but he is still hopeful. Here you can see how the tigers are quite free to take rest in the jungle and move and hunt their prey. Here you can understand personification in the poem. The poet refers the tiger by the word he, which is used for humans. So the tiger has been personified as human with emotions who can understand. So here the word he is used in the poem for the tiger, that is the figure of speech personification. Metonymy. It is the substitution of the name of an attribute for that of the thing meant. In the poem, the poet calls body of the tiger as its strength, and it is in body of the tiger as its strength. It is used in stanza 4, that you can understand. Metaphor. The poet compares the condition of tiger in the cage and in the forest. He tells how tiger feels in the cage and how it would have been feeling if it were free. So here the poet has compared the condition of the tiger in the cage and in the forest. So tiger feels in the cage and how it would have been feeling if it were there. So it is metaphor. It is an implied comparison. Alliteration is there. It is the occurrence of the same letter of sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words, as should be lurking in shadow where plump deer pass. Here S word is stressed in should and shadow, and plump and pass P sound in a concrete cell. Here C word is concrete cell. Here C word concrete. Here it is cell. S word. Here C is pronounced S. So it is like what? Alliteration. Symbolism is also used. It is the use of symbolic images and indirect suggestion to express mystical ideas. And this mystical idea is also expressed in the poet. In the poem, the poet describes eyes of the tiger and the stars in the sky as brilliant. The eyes are bright either because of rays or because of its majestic look. So on the other hand, the stars are brilliant because they twinkle in the sky. So here these are the symbolism used in this poem, and I hope that you might have understood all these things. So in this way, you might have understood everything, how the tiger lives in zoo and how the tiger spends its days and night in the jungle. Now you can answer all these questions and the figure of speech. That's all. Thank you children. Thank you.